Hello, 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 hello. Welcome to your reading. Where did the thing just go? Okay. So we are good. Alrighty. Let's make sure to take out the last name. Okay. So very interesting chart. Lots in common from what I saw with charts I know and even my own. So let's go ahead and share it. And I'll go back and forth between sharing and not sharing. So moon in Capricorn and sun in Pisces. And I literally just had one. I 2 readings ago. This is my 3rd reading in a row, or not in a row. I've taken a little 15-minute breaks in between. It's currently 9 a.m. I am not like the other ones. I just don't. I feel the need to like explain this to people, just because like people think, oh, you're up at 9, like you must be like on drugs or like a crazy person. But look, I've never done this in my life until the last few months. I'm not a big fan, and don't worry, this isn't counting towards the time of the reading. I'm just kind of like chilling out a little bit. So I don't like summer in the sense that what can I gain from waking up at 10 a.m. knowing that as an astrologer, I only really get my intuitive energies around the time of sunset. So basically, why would I wake up at 10 and sit around, not be able to go outside because it's 35 to 40 degrees, and then not be able to, do my live client sessions with a lot of them, a majority of them, from North America. So, I'm doing them at like 9 o'clock usually, my time, and be too tired after that to do my readings. It doesn't make any sense. And when, you have a wait list like I do these days, which I pray to God continues and continues for my entire life, because it's the biggest blessing ever. And I worked so hard to get to this level, and it's not solidified at all. I'm not acting like I made it, but like basically, like, what is the point of going to bed early? I literally can't do readings when it's light outside. So it's 9. I'm full of energy. I'm good. Like I picked your chart out of a few because I really resonated with it. When I'm like 3 charts in, it's more about, restart the timer because I'm babbling. It's more about I'm not trying to do a chart that, not that your chart's not difficult, but like I'm not trying to do like a chart that is like a extremely intense chart. Like I want to do a chart that I look at and intuitively I'm like, okay, I got this. Lots of Pisces energy, Moon in Capricorn, Cancer rising. It goes with the theme of what I've been talking about tonight a lot, right? So with that said, let's jump right in. So Sun in Pisces, Moon in Capricorn. Your moon's square Saturn, and your sun is no major aspects to outers. It has a conjunction with Mars and Venus in Pisces. Quite nice. Interesting. And then ascendant in Cancer. So right off the bat, these all get along very well. You have, the sextile element sextile, right? Because they're 2 signs away between Capricorn and Pisces. There are 2 signs that they agree. It's an earth and a water. They're 2 feminine signs, and your big 3 are all in feminine. And of course, Cancer is a water sign like Pisces, which your ascendant is at 29 degrees. So your chart is going to be a lot different, by the way, than in my whole sign system than it would be in a Placidus reading. So I don't know if you had other readings in the past, but basically, instead of starting at 29 degrees right here, like this being like 29 and going around differently, it's starting at 0. So yeah, so it changes things a lot. And I also have I have a 28 degree rising, and it's very interesting. So let's jump in. So yeah, Pisces. So Capricorn moon. I always say the same thing. There's a deep need to liquefy, right? Because the moon likes to be liquid. The moon likes to be fluid. The moon is like Cancer, right? The sign Cancer, water signs, right? Where it likes to kind of, I guess you could say, flow, like meet its own emotional needs, cry when it needs to cry. And like, it's just an example, and feel the emotions as they come up, and not repress them, and not this and that. Capricorn moon is very difficult because what tends to happen is that there is, so Capricorn is ruled by Cancer, by Saturn, which I said squares your moon, which adds even more to it. And you're born in 81, so you've had your Saturn return, so you've probably gone past a lot of the very difficult parts of your chart. Now, basically, Capricorn moon, there's a need, like I get so many people with Capricorn moon, it's ridiculous. And the reason is because Capricorn moon, probably more than any other moon sign, is here karmically to seek emotional healing. And because Saturn rules rock, you can think of it like stuck emotional patterns from past lives, right? And it's like these repressed emotions or stuck emotions, stuck energy, something that needs movement, that needs like that process of liquefying, right? Liquefying the rock. And basically, that's done through healing. And that's also like kind of like the people who have that, it's not like they get forced into a life of healing, but it's kind of their initiation, you could say, right? Having a Capricorn moon. They typically have to grow up, at least on an emotional level. Sometimes they feel like in their household, like they were the ones that had to be the grown-up from a young age. I go back and forth between my face and the chart, just so you know. Sometimes I like to walk around or like close my eyes or whatever. That basically, and it does have a conjunction with Neptune, but it's in different signs, 10 degrees away, so it's a lighter conjunction, but it still applies. And what happens here is that pushes someone, especially a Pisces, who, Pisces being a very, very spiritual sign, and your sun, okay, so into healing, and healing comes natural to Pisces. So and I don't really get into sun signs, but when you have 3 planets in Pisces, right, your Venus and your Mars, there can definitely be some like issues related to like escapism, And it can be difficult for you to understand yourself on that, like, kind of like to see yourself clearly, right? There can be kind of like some fog that gets between you and that clear vision, that that sense of like truly understanding yourself. So Pisces people, they tend to like, and you have, like I said, 3 planets in there. One's at 0 degrees, the Venus. I found that a lot of times they're like chameleons, right? They blend in really well with their surroundings. So with Capricorn and Pisces, there can be self-esteem issues that, you know, especially Capricorn moon square Saturn and Jupiter. There can be something along the lines of like maybe the mother was very strict, or, you know, the emotional needs weren't met. But the person with the Capricorn moon comes off in a way, even as a Pisces, maybe less with the Pisces influence, but like that they don't need help. Like they're able to, like, people think, they look at them, they're like, oh, they're fine, but they will suffer in silence. And there can be lots of depression, melancholy that can come from that. And a lot of it comes down to, you know, basically like, are you able, you know, it comes down to self-image, right? Understand the emotions. And Capricorn moon square Saturn, it's like an internal conflict where you feel a difficulty in expressing your emotions. Like vulnerability becomes, one second, it becomes very difficult, right? So like when you have this, opening up can feel so difficult, like especially like mostly, but like before the Saturn return, as I said, it gets a lot easier with time. Being a Pisces, you know, super sensitive, and the people don't see the moon, right? So the moon is hidden. The sun and the ascendant, which, you know, are more seen. So you're definitely seen as like a sensitive person. Your ascendant is at 29 degrees, which is a very karmic degree. You got, you know, 2 critical, you get like the 0 and the 29. So basically the Pisces part of you is a lot different than the Capricorn part, but they can still meet in a place that can produce good results. Now the Cancer rising, right? Cancer rising, make sure your moon, you have a moon ruled chart, so that Capricorn moon takes on even more importance. And in this case, it sort of, so it's very important for you to follow the lunar cycles, because these, you know, affect Cancer moons more than other rising signs. And my eyes are still red. Jeez. I just put in these eye drops that didn't work at all. But anyways, the Cancer, yeah, Cancer rising, it tends to kind of like, it's an energy that's gonna like wait. It's not gonna just like budge in, right? It's gonna kind of, it's more shy. It creates someone who's more shy, but it's also creates someone who's very like warm and very approachable, and very strong connection to family. And they'll wait until they feel comfortable before really like pursuing their like a purpose, right? And sometimes they'll, like, you know, with the Pisces, like depend on other people to take the initiative. And going back to the Pisces part, right? It's in the 9th house, right? So that's all in Placidus, I believe would be in the 8th house. So I'll show this. A lot of people are visual learners. So you see here that the ninth house is the house of Sagittarius, right? And plasticity being the eighth, but in the ninth house, it's all about finding a higher philosophy, right? Like finding truth. So it's a mix of Pisces and Sagittarius, which is what I am. And North Node Leo, which is like literally so many of my clients have this North Node Leo, which is the opposite of me. I have South Node Leo, right? So we have opposite nodes. So basically, like what I am is what you're trying to become, and or what I've been, right? And then vice versa. Like what you've been, your past life tendency is like what I'm trying to become. So lots of people who have North Node in Leo, they have trouble. This is North Node, and it represents like the part of your chart that's kind of like the destiny. It's kind of like the mountain never climbed in past lives, right? It's not a planet, and it's opposite exactly the South Node, right? They're based on a calculation of like the apogee of the moon, something like that. I don't know the astronomy, but basically what it talks about is how in this lifetime, you know, you're really trying to learn to take credit for things, learn to express yourself, right? Learn to, I guess you could say, take center stage a little bit, right? It can be very difficult for people with that, especially when you have all this Pisces energy. So like some of the shadow of the Pisces energy in this case can be like self-victimization. With Mars and Pisces, you know, it can be difficult because it can make someone feel like there can be like some passive aggression tendencies or issues with like being assertive. And if we look further, we don't see any fire in your chart, right? No fire planets. So when you lack fire, you lack initiative, you lack that assertiveness function, which, you know, can be difficult. And with your North Node in a fire sign, it's basically the cosmos telling you that you're trying to develop that ability to freely express yourself and kind of be that archetype of the, how would you say it? Like, yeah, the lion, the passionate one, the fearless one, the one that speaks their mind. And yeah, South Node Aquarius, you know, there's definitely a past life tendency to be very, especially with Uranus ruling in the sixth house, to be very like service oriented, very easy to kind of like give yourself up to others, right? Give yourself up to the betterment of society, very humanitarian, very like oriented to the group, to the we. But and the Leo is about the me. So it's like, it's not asking you to be selfish in like the negative sense of the word selfish, but it's the cosmos are asking you to take more time for yourself, to take more time to, like, you know, as a Pisces, you're probably extremely creative, right? So to take time to, like, let's say you have like a creative endeavor or something that you're really good at, but you're not really, I don't know. You have some kind of fear around. Where's your Chiron? Is it in fire sign? It's in Taurus. So that relates to self-esteem, which is like where the second house is Taurus. So there can be like issues related to like how you see yourself and how you value yourself that get in the way of you finding your own power, right? Now, when you have Moon in Capricorn, it complicates that even further because of you know, it can be very perfectionist. It can be very hard on it. Like people with Cap moons can be very, especially men. I wrote about this in an article like a few weeks ago, but like how, you know, Capricorn moons can be very, very hard on themselves, and it just makes it so hard to like go to someone and be like, I need help, or like, I need to talk, I need to get, like, it creates someone who can repress emotions, and a lot of that comes from the family. And when we speak about family and childhood, I'll show you this too. And I also have this. Mine's linked to like my past lives. Come on, go. Let's see if there is that same square. No. So Pluto on the IC, that, and you know, with Saturn there too, this is mostly Pluto. That speaks to you know, some type of trauma, childhood trauma, you know, something like very explosive, volcanic, disruptive that happened early, you know, early childhood. And you know, when it's on the IC, it's directly opposing the midheaven. So what does that mean? It means that, you know, without confronting all of these issues, it pushes you back from your highest potential. And when I say highest potential in career or in the midheaven, I don't necessarily only mean career. I mean, the midheaven is like your dharma. It's like, it's also in a fire sign in Aries, right? So, you know, trying to be like a pioneer in whatever you're doing, trying to be like someone who is very independent, like very entrepreneurial, right? So, but, and a lot of people, like, you know, it's dark, it's hidden, it's kind of it can be very buried, and by not confronting it, and like I said, I had the same thing, whether it's like a relationship with the mother or the father. I'd imagine it'd probably be more with the mother or whoever the nurturer was, which is usually the mother, right? Because it's the moon square Saturn. There, you know, and it doesn't mean that the trauma, or if there is trauma or whatever it is, came just from, you know, mother. Just the overall nurturing, you know, needs were not met, right? When young. And one person's trauma can not be a trauma for someone else. So that's very, very important. What else about Pluto on the IC? Yeah, there's tons of different manifestations. That's why, like, I don't know. Did you get a follow up? If you didn't get a follow up, I'm gonna check. But I'd say 95% of my clients like either get a follow up right away or they end up getting a follow up. And the reason for that is because the whole point of the follow up. Let's see if you got no follow up. Yeah. So I highly, I would, 1 second. Hold on. Where's my Zoom? Hold on. This is weird. It's like saying it's like updating my Zoom. It's gonna restart it, but it's not affecting my meeting. That's really weird. 1 second. It like said you have to update. Okay, I think it's good. Okay, so yeah, so with the Pluto there, it holds you back from maximizing that, right? And it could have something to do with like in a way feeling like your sense of self, your sense of values, your sense of self-esteem, really, was violated at some point, right? Like a crisis of values, self-worth. And that's kind of the journey, right? Through that Leo North Node journey, it's like learning to take creative risks on yourself, right? Learning to get more in touch with your inner child. And a lot of that has to do with like, and I do astrological counseling too, if you're ever interested, but 2 master's degrees in psychology. But basically, like with the IC and Pluto, there's a lot to be uncovered there. And a lot to be uncovered. The good thing is that you have Jupiter. I'm still not presenting, huh? You have Jupiter that is in the 4th house. And it definitely gives you like a vantage point, you could say, or perspective on everything that happened. But Saturn's right there too, which kind of restricts it because you're born on a Jupiter-Saturn conjunction. So yeah, they kind of offset each other in that sense. So that's that. Now, when we talk about like shadow, Black Moon Lilith and Scorpio being like not a planet, but a point. And sometimes I share screens. I like to like walk around and I get like downloads or whatever. I sometimes can think better when I'm like walking or moving or closing my eyes or something like that. There it is. So Black Moon Lilith in Scorpio can speak to a tendency of at your lowest, right? So think about like you at like your lowest energy, right? Like you when you're in your shadow, when you're at your lowest vibe. Potentially like using like this Piscean like emotional intelligence, emotional power that you have to manipulate and kind of like some of the lower energies of Scorpio, right? Which are well documented. But I always think of it as using Black Moon Lilith like a water sign is like using one's like emotional power and natural emotional like intuitive understanding, like with that all that Pisces, and to their advantage, right? Like making people feel bad for them or coercing people in certain ways. So yeah, it's very, very important to understand that. And Pisces, can be the victim, right? At a high level, Pisces is the artist. Because Pisces relates to Neptune. Neptune is a higher reality. Think of like heaven energy. There's like this other realm that is so spectacular. And when people that have lots of Pisces come down to Earth, this like rugged place, there's so much negativity. Sometimes they kind of like Cancer, other water sign, they sometimes just want to escape it, And there's different types of escapes. There's healthy escapes. Music, Pisces are extremely talented in anything artistic. I made a poll on my Instagram the other day that what's the most creative sign? Pisces dominated. Although I should have added Gemini to that, but I didn't. Probably would have been a close race. But basically, that's extremely important. And I've seen people with charts like yours, like especially like when you have like a 0-degree Venus in Pisces, there can be this energy of obsession with love. And another thing about Pisces is that there can be issues with boundaries. Now, the Capricorn moon will help you a lot with that, but still, there can be issues with boundaries. There can be issues with, because Pisces is such a chameleon-like energy that, especially like I was saying before, like related to love, like it's a 0 degree Venus, right? Can perform kind of like a retrograde Venus in the sense that it might just make love, like it might make one think that like their life success, their level of like where they're at in life is dependent on how their relationships are going, how how their love life is. And they can be very, there can be codependency issues. And then another thing with that Pisces Venus is that whole rose-colored glasses thing, right? Where you see someone's potential, you see someone for who you want to, you don't see them clearly, right? You see them for who they want, who you want to see them. And don't worry, like I'm saying things, but there's a low vibe and there's a high vibe to all of this, right? And I kind of like go from one to the other. My Pisces rising cat just stared at me really intensely when I said that. The high vibe is just like this incredible romantic energy, like two souls becoming one in love, soulmate type romance, right? The low vibe is allowing these kind of energy vampire types, because one might feel as though they don't have the power within themselves, and they might see someone that's like like has something that they're lacking in terms of like that power, that self-power, that feeling of like self-esteem, and they may go for that person, and that person may not be a bad person, and over time they may just like be in denial when all their friends and family members and everyone knows that that person is bad for them. I can give you so many horror stories of Venus and Pisces. Like my former best friend, brother since we were 4, he has Venus and Pisces, and he basically like got married to this very manipulative Scorpio girl who, basically now he's like a Jehovah's Witness that doesn't talk to anyone, including me, his best friend, his family. And he always, his weakness was always love, woman, right? Because that's kind of, he's a straight white, doesn't matter if he's white, he's a straight male. And he was very, very strong and dominant in every other part of life. 1 second, sorry. But in love, that was the weakness. That was where things didn't really work that well. So that's like the big thing for the Pisces Venus individual is like, how do you find that self-love, right? Because Venus, a lot of people don't know this, is not just about love, right? Venus is about self-love. I know it sounds cheesy, but that's what it is. It's what you value. And it starts with what you value in yourself. So, because, Pisces is ruled by Neptune, which represents cloudiness, confusion, or fog, confusion. It can be very commonplace for someone with Pisces energy to almost like be willing to like sacrifice everything for love, give it all away. They might have the best thing going, like for their career, and they might just like meet someone and just be like, okay, I'm willing to, like unconsciously, of course, like be willing to like, I'm willing to throw it all away. And So that's a big thing. And when you have Mars there, it's different because it's Mars is your assertiveness function, right? I'm gonna move over to my couch right now, more comfortable. So Mars is your assertiveness function, and in Pisces, it's very frustrated, right? And what can happen is that there can be passive aggression. So when we talk about your Black Moon Lilith in Scorpio, one may go to sort of like emotionally manipulative techniques to get their way. That's kind of what I was trying to say before. So how to get past this is what makes Pisces great. High spirituality, right? High spirituality, finding an escape that is a positive escape, not one that is, lots of Pisces are, escaping through alcohol or drugs or whatever it is, So like something like music, go back to my face. Art, creativity, whatever it is, it's different for everyone. But it's very important for Pisces to have some type of creative outlet, some type of, like, whether it's like journaling. I say this with all my Pisces people, that Neptune / Pisces rules cameras, mirrors. So one of the ways you can sort of get past this fog and start to understand yourself better is if you like literally film yourself. You don't have to show anyone, and you just talk about your day, or you just talk about your philosophies, right? Because these are all in the 9th house. Your sun, your Mars, your Venus is all in the 9th house, which is a house of higher philosophy. It means that your life is very linked to finding universal truth, right? To finding a truth that you can then take and move to your career or your dharma, like what you're meant to do on like a public level, and shine in, which is your North Node in Leo. Does that make sense, the connection? So I would think that like something creative would be very, very, very paramount. Now, what's holding us back is that square with Mars, or excuse me, with Moon and Capricorn and Saturn. Oftentimes this is mother issues. But in today's world, the mom is not always represented by the moon. In my chart, the moon is my dad, the sun is my mom, because my mom was like more present, you could say. So it's very important to understand that there's lots of work, and you may have done it. You had your Saturn return a long time ago, multiple years ago, probably like around a decade or something like that, right? I mean, it was maybe not a decade, but like, yeah, something close to that. 9 years maybe. So basically, understanding that you may carry some baggage, some family, some kind of like you may be like the person that's like meant to like break some kind of like generational family kind of trauma, right? And that's not an easy task. And especially if there's a trend in the family of something related to that, right? And when it's Capricorn Moon, it makes me think that like, it could be something along the lines like not expressing emotions, not being able to express anger, right? With the Pisces Mars. And just, where's your Mercury? And it's retro, exactly. So your Mercury is retrograde to add to this, right? So I feel this like there's like the energy of like pent up energy, right? Because Mercury retrograde natally, which only like it's not a large, it's not a very large. Think about how often Mercury is in retrograde, and how some people say 20%, some people say 15. Let's look it up. But I don't know how reliable What percentage? Is 25% really? That can't be true. Yeah, 18% of the time it's in retrograde, so that would make more sense. But still, around a fifth of people have it. So what happens when you have Mercury retrograde is that, one, you have a very different learning style, right? Your learning style tends to be different, which can create some issues like with like the early schooling. And the fact that it's in Aquarius is already going to make you like a different type of thinker, right? You're going to be a different type of thinker than the average. You're going to be ahead of your time. It's like genius energy, right? This Mercury in Aquarius, it makes you like very inventive, very creative, really wanting very futuristic, wanting to speak about ideas that, you know, are maybe a little bit eccentric and rebellious to other people, especially like if you're like from like a traditional household. So yeah, there can, but Mercury retrograde, it takes, Mercury is how you speak and how you think, it pushes that within, right? So there can be this tendency to kind of like yeah, you know, move the mind inward and go back over prior events, like rumination, like always like kind of like, and that's a very Piscean thing to like kind of overthink things, right? Like my brother has this, and I see this all the time. Like me and him are the complete opposites. Like for me, it's like I see a photo, I post on Instagram, I don't edit it, I just like post it in 2 seconds. I don't think twice. I think about it later, right? Maybe to a detriment. Him, it's like, I remember him, he was, you know, like it was the day after Christmas Eve with our family, and he literally like played this video of him and our cousin, like this like little clip of them like singing the song. It was, he literally like played it so many times and was thinking so deeply as to like, and he also has Capricorn moon, so it's like this is something I understand, right? And he's a Cancer. He was thinking so deeply, like how are other people going to see this? And that's the thing about Capricorn moon too, is that they want to be seen as very successful and as very like honorable in society, right? So yeah. So yeah, it makes the thought process based more on like the subconscious rather than like the conscious mind. And way more right brain than left brain typically, especially the Pisces. So like standardized tests and the standardized education may have been like kind of like at odds with like your learning style. And things like spirituality and art might come very easy, right? What can happen with people who have Mercury retrograde is that they can be told at a young age or receive the message that they're not as intelligent as they really are, which can create self-esteem issues, right? But really they have just a different learning, like way of learning. But what's really cool about Mercury retrograde is that you have this ability to tap into the collective unconscious. And it's like an unconscious process, right? But like you somehow know, it's very intuitive. Like you know more than you're able to like really. So that's the frustration, is like you know so much, but like there can be issues with really communicating it, right? Because like you have all this information, you like it's like the energy of like, you know, when like you know that something's bullshit, but then you step up to like a really good arguer, the loudest person in the room, and like, you know, they're able to like out argue you or whatever, like something like that. And then it's just frustrating because like, you know, you're right, but because of that high intuition that you have, right? So yeah, it's all about like creative outlets that have like non-verbal communication, like painting, music, like honestly a lot of like musical geniuses have had Mercury retrograde. I can't think of any names. I just know that. And what's really interesting, and when I learned this or like read about this, I was like, damn, that is so crazy, right? Is that people that have Mercury retrograde natal, okay, first of all, this isn't what I'm talking about, but there's one other thing is that when it is Mercury retrograde season, you might feel more normal, more like at ease. Everyone else is freaking out. You might feel like, wow, this is great, you know? But in relationships, so karmically in relationships, and I feel this so much with my brother, there can be a tendency to react like other people, especially like people that you're very, very karmically linked to, as if they were like the past life versions of themselves. Crazy, huh? So yeah, there can be definitely like frustration. And where'd your chart go? 1 second. Here it is. So when we link that to like all these other energies, like especially like with relationships and stuff, it can create someone who could resort to using, not dark magic, but just like the passive aggression or thinking, okay, like like manipulation or like that Scorpio Black Moon Lilith energy. So yeah, creative outlets is the best way. Spirituality, being of service, right? And what did you lack? You have earth. It was fire, right? Did you have air besides the Mercury? I guess Mercury air is pretty good. So yeah, so lacking fire, it's just like finding that fire within you, right? Finding like through the healing, finding that, and maybe it's through a partner, who knows, but finding that ability to kind of like give yourself that kick in the butt to self-start, because self-starting can be very difficult and there can be stagnancy. And the Capricorn moon can come back and haunt you and make you feel like you're unworthy and like, like even in a crowd of people, like feel lonely. But then comes along, yeah, it's a 7-degree conjunction that's in the different sign, but it's still a conjunction of Neptune and Moon, Capricorn. Now what that does is that adds a very empathetic element to the chart where you can really, really feel other people's energy. So it's so important for you to choose the right people, friends, partners, even environments, work environments, right? Because you have Neptune in the 6th house, which can create someone who like doesn't, and especially you have what I have. I have these here too. So what it does is it can create someone who doesn't like this just like corporate America, who might have like unusual ways of working. Like it's nearly 10 a.m. right now. That's totally Uranus in the 6th house stuff, right? To just like make your own rules in terms of like how you want to like work, and your midheavens in Aries, so that typically with makes someone want to kind of like be their own boss, right? Be the leader of their ship in their career. So choosing a profession that gives independence and autonomy, right? And where they can be a leader, which is a challenge. And that's the North Node challenge, right? But with and I'll go back to the moon stuff in a sec, but like with with Neptune there, it definitely creates an energy where there's like a difficulty with coping with everyday life, right? But what it can do at a higher level is it can make someone where their everyday life is like really linked to helping other people and compassion. And that with the vertex there is kind of doubling down and saying that that's kind of the doorway to higher awareness is through that. And it's in Sagittarius, so it's like by going and and also I haven't really spoke about traveling, traveling physically or traveling metaphorically, right? Traveling physically, meeting people with different worldviews from different countries. If we have a follow-up, we can talk about a group that, that I keep very private that I might be inclined to invite you to. But basically, that's very important for you, is to, have people in your life that don't see things exactly how you see them, right? You want to have that. And with the Uranus there, it just gives like this kind of like unusual routine, right? Like the routine is unusual. Your approach to daily life is unusual. And even when like sixth house relates to pets, it can make these two planets together can make it so you can gain a lot through pets, right? Pisces love cats, well, all animals, but like yeah, so there can be like lots of healing through pets, but like also higher awareness through that relationship, right? Because it can be hard to trust, but even like one pet can like change everything. So aside from that, what else could I do this? Yeah, so the Uranus sixth house will probably will seek out like an unusual, like nonconformist way of living life and of having their daily life. Now, the moon with Neptune, as I was saying before, you there's like a need, like especially with the Pisces, to spend alone time, right? And to really feel into the energy of how other people affect you, because you could be a very talented healer, but if you don't know how to, I guess you could say, rid yourself of or create strong boundaries, which like the highest energy of Cap moons is like they get very good, because Saturn rules boundaries, and Cap moons they can definitely do that. So like tuning into the highest vibe of Capricorn moon, you're able to like create very strong boundaries with people, set them and voice them, and also find groups of people that are more in line with your purpose, like other wounded healers with Chiron in the 11th house, right? And you can heal a lot through groups. That's why I mentioned mine. So yeah, kind of like the hard part is how do you push yourself to take a center stage, to accept that promotion, to accept that role as a speaker. I don't know. I'm just saying random examples. To start that Instagram tarot page or whatever. Like there's like that's the goal, is to take a creative risk, right? Because that's going to ultimately really be healing, and that's going to open up your healing journey and maybe even your journey as a healer for other people. So yeah, the alone time is really important. And I always say to the Pisces people, I already said the thing about like the camera, like filming yourself, and just like how like or doing affirmations in the mirror, and how that's like literally like a kind of secret aid for like the Pisces person to kind of understand, to see themselves, that like to actually be able to see yourself like through the camera or through the mirror. It's super healing. Now, yeah, so just like a lot of people that have that moon conjunct Neptune, they do healing work, they do their careers in some way, there's an emotional need to help other people. Sometimes they sacrifice their careers in certain ways, but the moon's in the 7th house, so there's an emotional need for relationships. Now when we speak about relationships, there's lots of factors here for you, right? I mean, of course, we have the first one, which is like the moon. Capricorn moons, they want to be proud of their partner. They want someone who is successful and who's really dedicated to their own work. Not necessarily, I mean, yeah, they like, not necessarily, yeah, it's not like, especially with your chart necessarily. I'm gonna go back into my like walk around mode. It's not necessarily so slow. Okay, is it good? Yeah. So I totally just lost my train of thought. I said it's not necessarily. Yeah. Okay. So with the moon, it's not necessarily like in this position, the moon in this position, it's not necessarily about money, but you know, you'd want to be with someone, one, you know, who you can really trust, who wants to build this like really solid foundation with you, by your side, you know, who wants to kind of be there for your come up, you know, if, per se, right? Who wants to you know, like you guys are both kind of working on your own things, and someone who also like, you know, understands your Pisces side, right? So there's this like firm commitment, right? Because Cat Moons, like they can't risk being with someone like Capricorn is like a no bullshit sign, right? So they can't risk being with someone that's a liability. Like they don't want to waste their time, whether it's Cap Venus, Cap Moon, Cap Sun, like just any Capricorn energy. Like they don't in relationships want to waste their time. That's why a lot of them end up with like, you know, reliable signs like Taurus, other earth signs, Taurus, Virgo, you know, a sign like Scorpio, right? What's the other sextile? I guess Pisces is, but Pisces kind of a wild card, right? But you know, Pisces are all different. Like I always would say that that a lot of Pisces like tend to take more from their rising sign or their moon sign because it's the last sign in the zodiac, right? It's very undefined in many ways. I mean, there's traits about Pisces, but it is the last sign. It's the accumulation, the integration of every sign together. So romantically, you know, the Cat Moon would really want someone. I always get the same metaphor. Like I don't know how many times I can say it, but it's just the best one I have. Of like you're like when you build a skyscraper or like a very like, you know, important big building, you spend most of the time on the foundation, right? You see how long these buildings take to build, like these big ones. If you live in America, you know, you see these buildings go up all the time, and you live in Orange. Yeah, I know Orange. I used to live in Orange County. So yeah, you know, you see how it's just like they're the foundation part where they're digging into the earth and they're like setting everything up. It takes forever, you know. But then after they've done that part, it starts to really steadily build, and then it creates something beautiful. If you consider buildings beautiful, but you get it's not a perfect metaphor, but you get what I'm saying. So let's say it's like a palace, okay? Let's say it's a beautiful building. Some buildings are just super ugly, but that's kind of how it is for the Cat Moon relationship. Is that they want something that's going to last. They don't want to put their money, their money metaphorically. They don't want to put their money in something. They don't want to invest in something that's not going to give them a return. Like they don't want to invest in something unless they're sure that it's gonna, or pretty sure that that person's for real. That person really means it, right? Now, when we combine that with the you know, the Pisces energy, the Venus and the Mars, and the Juno, which is in Scorpio, water, conjunct Black Moon Lilith. I have that too, because we're born in very similar times, 1 year apart. You have someone who is very there's definitely a need, because like I told you before about the Venus, right? Like how it can be your worst enemy, but also it's like that soul bonding energy, right? So once you have that Capricorn moon part like in stone, where you for sure know you can trust the person, you for sure know that you know, without a sliver of doubt that, like that for real, then it's not necessarily that they have to be spiritual, that they have to be into all the things you're into, but they have to at least understand your depth and your mood swings. Like Pisces have lots of mood swings. They can be very happy 1 second, and then they're so sensitive that who knows, maybe even like, it depends on like your level. That's why like something like Kundalini yoga would be super, super like crucial. I did it for about 6 months, and it was very life-changing for me because I learned a lot in it. And just meditation's lifelong journey. But yeah, it'd be crucial for them to like understand and respect, and most importantly, be curious, right? They do not have to be like you in terms of what signs they have and this and that. But I mean, of course, there are some like, I would probably like avoid like a triple Aquarius or a triple Gemini, because, or someone with a lot, of Gemini, for example, because I mean, yeah, Gemini and Pisces can connect on that artistic level, but Gemini energy is very much like it's bored very easily, and it can kind of just like leave, and in Aquarius, Uranus energy, it's also similar in that sense, right? So consistency is very important, but also emotional depth, or at least the ability to understand your emotional depth and your spiritual depth, and to respect your spiritual journey and respect your need for space at times. As a Pisces, there's going to always be times where you need to retreat. And you might even feel very overwhelmed by relationships when they get too close, right? Because you're feeling, especially when you're living with that person, because you're feeling that person's energy so intensely, right? And even if you do the thing that I do, which, I have my own room and have my own space, like my girlfriend's downstairs sleeping. I have my den and my where I'm working right now, in my bedroom right there. I could talk all night and she won't hear a thing, right? And the house is big enough to where, not that she has a bad energy or anything like that, but just like, I'm still feeling like I'm in my own energy. But if a Pisces is living like in such close proximity, especially someone with a North Node Leo, where they're meant to individuate in this life, they can really lose touch of themselves and kind of merge the other partner, and it's not always good. So yeah, and then Juno is like the ideal partner, someone who's really willing to go in the depths with you and go through, that death, rebirth, transformation archetype, Scorpio, and transform and have that kind of soul binding depth relationship, so very, very important. And yeah, aside from that, let's think. I mean, the rising, it's like, we talk, like, Cancer rising, it's on the cusp with Leo, but I don't really mess with cusp when it comes, I only really look at cusp with sun signs. Not that they don't exist. I mean, like you being a 29-degree rising sign, it's very karmic. You'll run into many different situations, karmic situations, that kind of test you in different ways. Like 29 degrees, kind of like the 0 degree Venus is like a very new energy, so it can kind of make one like a little bit naive in love. But the 29 degrees is like it's like the last boss, like the ultimate test, right? So yeah, in relationships it can or not in relationships, just in life in general, it can create a level of intensity, and feeling like you're always, having to pass these karmic tests. But yeah, with that said, what have I not spoken about? So like, yeah, I mean, I guess Saturn in the fourth house, like restriction and like a childhood that had restriction. Jupiter, even with that restriction, having like some type of perspective about it, and Jupiter being a Libra, really wanting to expand yourself through like very fair and balanced relationships. So that's another relationship implication. I talked about the Pluto, the fourth house. Talk about that, talk about that, talk about that, talk about that, talk about that. Okay, now let's just look and see what we get for asteroids, if anything, or fixed stars, excuse me. Okay, let's put you back on. Okay, so Spica is conjunct Pluto. I've never heard of that. I'm gonna search it. And it gives no information. Let's see if I can find on this source. No. Let's see. Okay. Well, Spica is like one of the luckiest stars in the sky, so I think it would add some brightness to that childhood trauma and some real like luck in meeting the right people that can help you confront it. That's what I would take from it. Carrying on. Ooh, let's see if I have anything on this. Although there's never anything. Galactic Center. Wait, what? This is crazy. 1 second. Some people say some wild things. The galactic center is probably the second strongest point in the astrology chart following the sun. No, it's not. Come on now. People get way, see, this is the thing that I try to stay away from, is like there's so like astrology is endless, and that's what makes it so, one of the things that makes it so special is that you can go into something like astrological, but you can go down so many rabbit holes. You have no idea. I mean, maybe you have an idea. I have no idea if you have an idea. I purposely don't know anything about you on purpose, so I can give an objective reading. But yeah, it's wild. Like the rabbit holes some people go down. Like I can't even like explain like how insane what I just read was. Like people like talking about like Black Moon Lilith conjunct galactic center. Like you lose sight of the big picture when you focus on little things. Okay, so let's see. Ascendant is 29. Let's go. So I'm not seeing any conjunctions so far. What's this? Okay, so now, by the way, I'm looking for any important fixed stars that can kind of and asteroids that can kind of fill in some info. And a lot of times it's very hard to find info, even in books. Okay, so that's not there. So let's actually just pull up the whole list. Excuse me. So let's start at Aries. Let's start Pisces. 0, 10, 17. Mm-hmm. 18. Nothing. Let's pull open the second file. Mm-hmm. Oh, wait, never mind. What's this? Yeah, so not really seeing too much. 29 Cancer. Nothing. And then 8 Libra and 24 Libra. We already said 24 Libra. I guess Arcturus is closer to your Pluto, but let's see if there's any info on that. I doubt it. If there's no Spica. Nope. So yeah, not really seeing much else. So overall, very, very interesting. Let me know about the follow-up also. You know, as I was telling you, most people, 95% do the follow-up. I'd be happy to do it for a large reduction. Just message me. Usually it's 150. I'm willing to do it for 90. And also, most people do the current astrology report. So this is like, you get this done once. Current astrology, you get, this explains, this is like the hand you're dealt. You don't need to get this done again in your life. I mean, you can get it done for different astrologers, of course, but like, you know, this doesn't change, right? But the current astrology is completely different. It's a live reading. We meet on Zoom. I talk about all these different predictive techniques I've mastered, whether it's solar return, whether it's transits, like solar arc, house ingress, perfections. The list goes on and on, right? And basically, here's the one, Cancer baby. Basically, yeah, that one is a lot different because we're kind of like the follow-up. The point of the follow-up is to, like I said before, it's like to compare like everything I've said here with your lived experience and to answer any questions and to cement everything, because an astrology reading is very, very important. And it's important that you're clear about things. And if there was anything that was, you know, that you want to know more about, or that, you know, like felt like incomplete, because of course, like, you know, this is just the hand you're dealt. How you, the free will is not shown in this. I need to tell everyone that you are not your chart, you know? So that's kind of the follow-up. And the current astrology is like, you know, the energy of the now for you, right? Like you could have a transit, like you just kind of finished Neptune going over all your Pisces planets. Let's see if I can see one. Yeah, so Uranus will square your your Mercury pretty soon. Just one random transit, and that's not even the main thing. The main thing is solar return. It's like a new chart that's made each year, right? It's like, so you take like 10.15 Pisces, and it's a new chart. We figure out where you were on your birthday, your recent birthday, and there's a new chart that's made for the year that explains the energy of the year. Then there's like transits, there's, you know, house ingress, like what house is everything in, like the outer planets. You know, there's obviously progressions, like the progressed moon is literally like, it speaks to like where you're, it stays in a sign in the house for 2.5 years, and it really speaks to like where you're at. There's annual perfections, which basically like each year you move one house. So there's like, and then it's complicated to explain, but it makes a lot of sense when explained in person. And I'm happy to give you a very good deal for that one. It's a live one, as I said. So let me know about all this. And awesome. Thank you so much for your taking time to watch. And I hope you enjoyed. And I hope to talk to you soon. All right. Bye-bye. Ciao.